And I'm on.
Yep. And action.
Just push out onto the stage.
Get-
Get.
Yep.
Welcome to the Optimistic Dater Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things dating. We're going to be talking about staying true to yourself in a relationship. I'm joined by the lovely Julia. And I'm
Oh,
Sam.
oh. All
Yeah.
right. So not dulling your energy, staying true to yourself in a relationship.
Yes.
Why do you think that people would dull their energy in a relationship?
I think one of the biggest reasons, having been a part of it, recipient of it, and seeing it, is toxic relationships before they meet you.
Um,
Um,
Having some trauma from past relationships, and when you're yourself and you show your true colors,
mm-hmm.
people they say things that hurt you based on those things, or they
They're,
they tear you down for
yeah.
being who you are.
Or how you act leads to actions of theirs that make it seem like it's your fault for things.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where like it just piles up onto you, and little by little, it's like, oh, maybe I'm the problem type situation, and you bring that into the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, recently for me, I had a situation where, I'm a very communicative person. Like, I communicate all my feelings. I think that communication is very important in a relationship. And so in my own relationship, I was trying to communicate and solve a problem. And something that he had said to me was, "You're not a self-help book, Julia, and our relationship can't be fixed by your, um, you know, by by that." And for me, that was like a hit to me because I pride myself in the way that I communicate with people. And for him, it just wasn't something that he liked. And so at first I was like, well, do I need to just stop doing that? Do I need to communicate less? Is there something wrong with me? But like, I've come to realize that no, there's nothing wrong with me. And I need somebody who's going to communicate with me. And he just wasn't the right person for me. But I think that can play into dulling your energy in the next relationship if you don't heal properly from that trauma.
For sure, for sure. Similar situation, not so much on the emotional side of things, but expressing feelings or not expressing feelings, and then taking that into the next relationship, and you're like kind of, I don't know how to put it, kind of a duller, kind of ambivalent version of yourself, where you're kind of like emotionless for a little bit to make sure like you don't step on toes or anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
that was my personal experience of like expressing emotion, expressing feelings, and then like being shot down immediately. It was like, oh, okay, maybe I
And so
shouldn't do that.
then you're scared to, yeah,
Yeah,
express those feelings.
yeah. So we don't talk about those
Um,
feelings. No,
yeah. We need to talk about those feelings. It's important to talk about feelings. You just have
yeah,
to be with somebody who appreciates those feelings.
yeah. That's true.
Um, I think a lot of people will dull their energy because they're attracted to somebody, but they're not necessarily compatible with somebody.
Yeah,
And so they'll kind of pretend that they're somebody that they're not, so that they can capture this person's attention where they wouldn't normally if they just were themselves.
yeah, yeah. You kind of do the. Oh, there's a great TikTok of a girl that does like the emo pixie like energy from the early 2000s, but like she made it up to get with a guy. She does these weird skits all the time. Um,
Hmm.
but like you make up a personality, a persona to like attract those people, and then
Yeah.
you have to keep like keeping that up because that's not really you. You're like, oh shit, okay, I gotta act like this. Oh, I'm wacky. Look at me, I'm so wacky.
Yeah. And the reality of the situation is that if that's not you, you can't keep up that act. Eventually it's gonna fall short, and they're gonna figure out who you actually are. And then you've wasted all this time trying to be compatible with someone you're not compatible with.
Or the other part of that is like they fall in love with that wacky person of you, and then later on you're like, fuck, I'm stuck.
And then they fall out of love with you.
Yeah. 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 So just be
Um,
honest up front. I know it's very hard to do for a lot of people, but just be honest up front.
so what are some things that like might happen to us or things that we might notice about ourselves if we're dulling our energy? Like what are some signs?
I know for me, uh, both situationally and kind of personally, communication becomes less and less. So, like, if
Mm-hmm.
I am starting to pull away or like noticing I'm having to not be myself around somebody, I'm going to talk less to you, whether that's text, whatever, calls, in person.
Mm-hmm.
Going to get a lot of short word, one word responses. So, if you get to that point in your life with me, then yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I feel like you would have to be doing something real weird or really just not be on the same page as you to get some one word messages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been your friend for a long time. I feel like I've never gotten a one word response from you.
Yeah, if I give you a one word response, like something's fucking up. And it's
Yeah.
probably on your end. So, like,
I think a sign would be just like when you notice that you're filtering the things that you're saying.
yeah,
When you're like, I need to not say, like we said before, like when you're kind of like, I need to not do this or I need to not say this because it's going to upset the other person, but really like you need to say the things that you need to say.
yeah,
And they're either going to react in the way that they need to react to make you feel secure in the relationship or they're not. And then maybe you just need to reevaluate the situation as in maybe we're not compatible, maybe we're not a good match.
yeah. You're walking on eggshells instead of like strutting. Yeah,
Yeah. The whole point of dating is finding somebody that you're compatible with because once you get married, then it's a different ball game.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I agree, like I
So,
know, but yeah. Yeah, what she said,
I
guys.
mean, once you're married, it's, you figure things out.
Yeah,
You got to figure out things no matter what. So you want to find somebody that you're compatible with who thinks, in a way that's compatible with the way that you think and that you guys can mesh your lives together in a way that's like cohesive and good because when you get married, then it's how can we
be a team.
make this work no matter what? Yeah.
Yeah,
So dating is for filtering out the not so good.
they're not
Okay.
so good. Yeah, dating is for
And
finding
maybe
the not diamonds in the rough.
and maybe not, I mean, just not your diamonds.
Yeah,
Not your diamonds.
yeah. Somebody else's
Because
diamonds.
they're probably somebody else's diamonds, but not yours.
Also, diamonds are like the most prevalent gem in the world, and somehow they're like the most expensive. Anyway, it's a whole
Different topic.
yeah, it's a whole scam.
All right. I would say also too, like doing things that you wouldn't normally do. Like
Oh yeah,
you're not being true to yourself if they're like, let's go do this, and you're like, you really don't want to do that. Like it's maybe I don't know, let's say this person's religious and you're not religious, and they're like, I want to go to church every Sunday, and I want you to go to church with me every Sunday, but you don't want to because that's just like
not your
not
thing.
part of who you are.
Yep.
But you're just doing it for them
Mm-hmm.
and you're like going on with this, okay, I can be religious for them. Like that, I think is a red flag for yourself to be like, okay, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do something that isn't who I am to
Yeah.
make this person happy.
Yeah, that's a good like checkpoint, like gut check of like, am I doing this for my own benefit, or is it just to like benefit them and make sure they see me in a good light type thing?
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of like, if you're in a relationship with someone, they want you to do that. And there's a little bit of it like, oh, I might
Mm-hmm.
go with you every once in a while or something like that because I know it makes you happy. But if you're like, if it's something that makes you uncomfortable and you're constantly doing it, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that goes not just for like church stuff, but like let's go out and get like drinks or like they're always drinking something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of, like maybe bad habits that
And
I can't really think
getting
of.
drunk because they want to get drunk every Friday, but you know that like
Yeah.
you got to get up for work in the morning and
Yeah.
you really shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
Or they like shame you for the things that you do that you enjoy personally. That's
Yeah.
another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like stopping doing the things that you love to appease them.
Yeah, you're
like
taking.
gaming or going to the gym every morning because they want to spend time with you instead.
Yeah, yeah. The gym one is a big one, I think, for a lot of single people. They'll
Mm-hmm.
stop going to the gym or they'll stop eating what they normally eat with people.
Not me, dude. Not
And,
me.
well, yeah, exceptions here. Clearly, the exceptions here. Anyway, but yeah, I find that a lot where, like, if you're in a serious relationship, if you're not gym minded already, that gym time just falls off and it gets filled with something else. So you
Yeah.
were committed for a long time and all of a sudden you stop going and you're like, oh, I wonder why I gained 30 pounds.
And that's why you find someone who's like-minded,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, somebody dating somebody who is into fitness like I am is an important thing for me because I don't want to have to dole that part of myself so that we can spend time together. I would rather us, hey, let's go to the gym together,
Yeah,
or they understand that it's an important thing for me, so I have to take that time out of my day to go
yeah, that's me time.
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Has to do it.
Yeah, and if you're skeptical about like going, like say the gym together, like a social thing like that, social-ish, um, do separate workouts. You don't have to be step in step with your partner at the time. Like, go do something else. You'll leave at the same time. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I think the big thing is that relationships, there's compromise, right? But when you're having to just give up something completely that you love doing, or you're having to do something that you like completely don't want to do, and you have to do it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
like that's not compromise.
Yeah,
That's not compromise. That's not meeting halfway.
that's totalitarianism.
So,
We don't like that.
so I think that's a big sign of like doling your energy or trying to fit into something that you really don't have any business being into. Okay.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
Um, So why shouldn't you dull your energy?
You want to find somebody that is there for you, not
Hmm.
some BS version that you make up to entice somebody to sleep with you. And then you have to
Hmm.
deal with those consequences and try to work into their lives and all this shit. No, be your fucking self.
Compatibility, guys. I think people so often are scared that there aren't enough fish in the sea. But guys, there's tons of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
You will find somebody who you're compatible with if you don't keep getting into these relationships that you're not compatible with this person. When you're not spending so much time in these relationships where somebody's so obviously wrong for you,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to miss out on maybe somebody who is the right person for you.
Yep. That's a big deal. Big thing. And kind of touched on it a little bit, but like if you're creating a false sense of yourself or like a false projection of yourself and that's the person that they are falling in love with or that's the person that they love, it's not you, man or woman. Like,
They're not in love with you.
yeah, they're
They're in
they're
love of this idea of you.
yeah, which is a whole other conversation of like building somebody up and before you're even with them. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think also resentment is a big one. I think resentment is a relationship destroyer.
yeah,
And so if you dull your energy to fit what this person wants, eventually you're going to resent them for it.
yeah,
You're going to feel
betrayed.
depressed, or you're going to feel like, why doesn't this person like love an actual version of me? Why they just want to change me all the time? And so,
Yeah,
that creates resentment. It creates this bad space, this bad vibe within your
bad
relationship that you don't want.
bad vibe. Yeah, if you
Bad,
are
bad vibe.
if you are shit, what was I gonna say? Damn it, bad vibe got me. Uh, yeah, and if you take that resentment into the next like this is why people when they get into from like say a toxic relationship into like a stable good relationship they don't know what to do. Like there's a
Hmm.
period of time where like wait you're like not mad at me that I just spent like 4 hours gaming and they're like no I'm not mad like that's cool. You're like
You do you, boo boo.
who are you, what did you do, yeah, like that's why people are sometimes gun shy going into that next relationship or when they find somebody that actually does compliment them and actually is good for them, they're timid, even though like deep down they know they deserve that love, but they
Mm-hmm.
they think that they only deserve the love that they were getting from the previous thing, like this amount, but they're getting this amount, but they're still down here.
Me and Sam are here to tell you that you deserve a great love, okay? Okay? So
Factual.
accept the good stuff,
Yeah. If
not the bad stuff.
somebody comes in your life and compliments you in all those great ways, don't kick them to the curb.
Yeah.
I don't know where else I was going with that.
Jesus. Yeah. And then you had said like a false sense of self. Care to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, kind of like touching on the creating that faux image. So,
Mm-hmm.
not so much Stockholm syndrome, but you create a version of yourself that you think you have to fit into this box with this person, because if you go outside of this box, then they won't like you. And that usually leads to personality traits getting like dulled and likes and dislikes and things like that. Everything gets squeezed into this box. So by the time you are done with said relationship, for whatever reason it may be, you're still stuck in this box, and you're not the person that you were prior to, who might have been like bright and bubbly, or like, life of the party type thing. Um, so it takes like a growing period getting back into those good ways. So,
Yeah.
don't start out the gate creating something false.
I think that like everybody just needs to realize that every person brings something to the table.
Yeah.
And when you're doling those parts of you, you're not going to ever be happy.
Yeah.
Like you have something special about you, and the right person is going to appreciate those things about you. So don't dole them for the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
Hold out for the right person and you'll be so much happier. I know from experience that like not doing certain things to make somebody else comfortable, or like doling those little parts of me that I like about myself to appease somebody else is not healthy. It gets you into a bad mental state. You will be sad.
Yeah.
And honestly, like getting out of that relationship and being alone, to me, I'm in a way better mental space than I was when I was in a relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to be me. I'm able to do the things that I like and not have to like cater everything I do to what that person wanted me to do, just so that they could be happy.
Yeah, you're not making sure being that person's emotional maid all the time. Instead, you're being yourself, especially if you're single.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're in a good relationship that's healthy and stable, you're complementing each other, you're growing with each other. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you can have good friendships in the meantime until you find that good, and after, obviously. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
you can
only
get
for the small period of time.
We're only friends for this time until I find someone. Then you're out of luck, dude. Get out of here.
Yep.
No, I just mean like there's things that you can get from other people outside of a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have a relationship to feel like a whole person. You can meet those needs yourself, and you can also get those needs met through other people in your life that aren't a romantic relationship.
Yeah, for sure. Find people,
and that's when you're in a relationship and when you're not.
Yeah, find people in general that compliment you. If you are butting heads energy-wise with somebody, probably shouldn't be friends with them. Like, simple as that.
Let the energy flow.
Yeah, and don't go into something thinking, hey, this person's great, but I would really like to change this, this, and this about them. That is a toxic mindset to go into. You shouldn't be actively looking to change somebody in front of you, a human being in front of you.
Yeah. There's a difference between like changing somebody and like trying to grow with somebody.
Yeah.
And if you're changing the things that are that fundamentally make somebody who they are, then that's the wrong relationship for you. Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
I know I say that a lot. Bottom line.
Bottom line. Bottom line, don't do that.
This is how it is, all right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up. I think this pretty much wraps up this episode of the Optimistic Dater podcast. If you guys like this episode, please leave us a review. It helps get our podcast out into the world and into the hands of other people who have not seen us before or heard us before. You guys could like our Instagram, the Optimistic Dater podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.